What's up, guys? We are back with Monday college basketball action here on January 6th. We're breaking down 6 games on this slightly smaller slate. We'll be looking at leans against the spread and on the over-under here as NCAA basketball season starts to heat up with conference play really getting after it, guys. Just a heads up, this is our secondary channel. Take a second and subscribe over here if you're new on this channel, and also click the link in the description to go over to the main channel and check out our NBA leans for tonight. We'll be going over the entire slate over there. We're going to go very in-depth, and we should have some player props over there as well. So let's keep after it, guys, going nuts here on 2 different channels. All of our videos are sponsored by StompTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NFL, NBA, NCAA football, UFC, NHL, and NCAA basketball. We've been on a sick run over there over the last couple of weeks now. Our college football expert has been crushing the bowl games. NHL is on a very hot run recently, and the NBA and college basketball have been doing well also. So click the link in the description to head over to StompTheSpread.com. If you aren't sure if a premium package is right for you right now, just try us out by signing up for our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Comment below with any bets you're looking today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, guys. We're going to be looking at the South Florida Bulls going on the road to take on the Wichita State Shockers. South Florida comes into this game 8-6 on the season. They're not off to an amazing start. They are 1-0 there in play out in the American, so that's a positive. Not a ton of positives so far for this team, but we'll see what they can do down the stretch. They're coming off a 75-69 win there over East Carolina, so that's nice. Come up with a win there. Playing at home, obviously, a game they're supposed to win, but still good stuff there from the Bulls. They took care of business there against the South Florida Pirates. They played great defense, allowing East Carolina to shoot only 22 of 62 there from the field, so good stuff. They dominated it defensively there on the three-point line. That was nice. They did get out-rebounded in this game, so that's something of a concern. And while we did see, some decent play there from a couple of their starters, it wasn't an amazing game out there. It was actually the bench that played better. We saw Kobe Knox, guys, 7 of 8 from the field, 3 of 3 from three-point range. He had 18 points in the game and was really kind of the driving force behind this win, if I'm being honest. So very good stuff on the bench. 2 double-digit scores off the bench, 2 double-digit scores there in the starting lineup. So we'll see if they're looking to shuffle things around or if the South Florida Bulls are kind of happy with how things are looking right now. In general this season, guys, we haven't seen any big breakout leading scores. I mean, Jaden Reed leading them with 12.4 points and 4.5 assists per game. That's nice, but it's not superstar level production. This is not an amazing rebounding team. They're a decent offensive team, but not that great on defense. So definitely plenty of room for improvement here down the stretch for the South Florida Bulls, and they're going to need to improve here in a tough conference game going up against the Wichita State Shockers, who come into this one, guys, 10-4 on the season. They are fresh off a loss, though. They didn't have a good time going on the road to Temple, eventually losing that game 91-85. Tough stuff up there. This is a good Shockers team, but Temple, no slouches themselves. We saw good stuff there from Washington and Ballard, 13 and 12 points there, respectively. Justin Hill really went nuts. He led the way with 25 points in this game. He was 4 of 8 from 3, 7 of 16 there from the three-point line. And as a team, Wichita State shot 35% from 3, 7 of 20, but just not enough there in the end. The rebounding battle, very, very even out there. Just good play in general from Wichita State, but not enough to get them over the finish line. The bench didn't look amazing. It wasn't a disaster necessarily, but not a ton of depth it's looking like there for the Shockers. They really need guys like, Justin Hill and Xavier Bell to carry the scoring load out here. And they had 25 and 18 points respectively. How much better can they really be expected to do than that? They did kind of fall victim to a very hot shooting night there from Temple, who shot 50% from the field and 45% from 3. Not something you normally see, from anybody, and not something you necessarily see that often against the Shockers, although their defense hasn't been amazing this year. Pretty good rebounding team, for sure. I would say well above average. Their offense in general, pretty good. Leading scorers that we just went over need to step up. I mean, this is a team that took down Kansas State, but lost to DePaul. They didn't keep things even competitive against Florida, but they did beat Minnesota and St. Louis. That's a win that's looking better and better, and their win over Northern Iowa doesn't look too bad there early in the season either. So I think Wichita State is a pretty good team here. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Shockers pretty big favorites, 8.5 point favorites in this one. We've got a total of 154.5. South Florida, they're only 4-9 against the spread this season. They are 8-5 to the under. Wichita State, they are 5-6-2 against the spread this year, and they are 8-5 to the under themselves. So, guys, I do think this has the chance to be a competitive game. So you could talk me into taking South Florida and the points in this spot, but I think it's actually a better value. And I'm not generally a huge fan of doing over/under plays in college basketball, but I think this is a great spot to look at that under. Both teams showing trends towards the under. Both teams can play a little bit of defense and can struggle offensively. I think we see a close game that finishes with both teams in the 70s in this one, and I think we comfortably see under 154.5 hitting in this one. So this play has a great chance to actually end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Wisconsin Badgers going on the road to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights here in a Big Ten showdown. The Badgers are playing great, guys. They've won their last 3 in a row. Obviously, one of those wins was over Detroit Mercy, so we're not going to freak out about that, but a 9-point win against Butler, and their last time out, a 116-85 just blowout there against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Wisconsin absolutely shooting the lights out in that game. No major surprise there. You're going to shoot the ball really well to score 116 points in a college basketball game. They were 21 of 31 from 3. That's 67.7%. Crazy stuff out there. 32 points from John Blackwell. He was just killing out there. And across the board, it was just a very good night. I mean, Nolan Winter, he had 18 points and just a dominant performance. They crushed Iowa on the boards. They didn't let him get anything going. Outside of Drew Thowell, he had a pretty big night. But other than that, guys, a very nice night for the Wisconsin Badgers, who have quietly had a pretty good season. I mean, they have lost to Michigan, Marquette, and Illinois, but those are certainly not bad losses. This is a team that has plenty of talent, guys. Talent across the board. They're 31st in the nation, putting up 83.9 points per game. Obviously, a lot of that, is impacted by such a crazy 116-point performance, but this is a good offensive team, no doubt about it. The rebounding maybe could use a little bit of work. They're not a dominant defensive squad either, but I like what we're seeing from the Wisconsin Badgers here, and I think, they've got definitely a lot to play for here as they go on the road to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who are 8-6 on the season. They're fresh off of an 84-74, so a 10-point loss there at Indiana. Not the easiest environment to play in, but they also lost to Princeton earlier. They got blown out by Ohio State earlier in the season. This is a team that has done some good things, but also done some bad things, like staying within 5 points there against Alabama. Very impressive, but yeah, losing by 10 against Indiana, not the worst loss, but also not looking amazing. You'd hope they could have kept it a little bit more competitive, but they lost in the first half of that game and couldn't bring it back in the second half either. In that loss, guys, we saw 2 starters score 0 points there for Rutgers. That's a tough look. Ace Bailey really had to try and do everything. He had 39 points. Staggering stuff to see somebody score 39 points in a college basketball game, but not something you're going to see all the time. Across the board, they got out-rebounded in this game. They didn't do a great job of, contesting, the 3-point line. They got shot out of the gym almost. Just not a lot of positives right now for Rutgers. They come into this one, as a top 100 offensive team. Got to give them credit for that. Not very good defensively. Not amazing on the boards. Definitely a lot to work on. Dylan Harper is a monster, though. 22.8 points per game, nearly 5 assists per game. He's a monster, but is that going to be enough to carry this team to wins, especially, against tough Big Ten teams? Seems like a big ask to me, guys. Rutgers, they're getting 1.5 here playing at home. We've got a total of 156.5 in this spot. Wisconsin, 8-6 against the spread, 11-3 to the over. Rutgers, 5-8-1 against the spread. They're 8-5-1 to the over. So this seems a little bit crazy, guys. Back-to-back total plays from me, but I definitely think the over is super live in this game. Both teams showing big trends towards the over. Both teams can really shoot it. Neither one plays much defense here, so I think over, I think we could see both teams scoring in the 80s in this game, and obviously that's going to crush a total of 156.5. So give me a look at the over. If you're begging me for a side on this one, I do think you might want to take a good hard look at Rutgers as a possibility in this, shootout in their home barn, but I'm going to go with the over in this game as the better play. Next up, we have our most niche game of the night. We've got Incarnate Word going on the road to take on Lamar. Incarnate Word, 9-5 on the season, so not having a terrible time. They're fresh off a 55-49 win there against Stephen F. Austin, so good stuff there. They're actually 2-1 so far in conference play out there in the Southland, so a lot of good things happening for Incarnate Word this season. It's not like they've had success in step up games or anything like that, but they have found a way to win games against teams that are supposed to be at their same level. They've also played, 2 or 3 games against non-Division I schools. So not going to throw them a parade necessarily, but they've done some good things. I mean, Davion Bailey, guys, is a monster. 18.2 points per game. He's, really, really scoring the ball. This is a good offensive team. 105th in the nation, putting up nearly 80 points per game is respectable for sure. The defensive numbers are also very, very good. So really, guys, we've liked what we've seen from Incarnate Word this season. I don't think you're like a scary team out there in terms of power conference play, but in the Southland, guys, they are certainly capable of making some noise, and they're going to try to continue making some noise as they take on the Lamar Cardinals, who are 8-6 on the season. They're fresh off a win over Houston Christian. It was a very close game, though. They won 63-61. They got blown out by Texas Tech not long ago, beat Louisiana, but that's not the Louisiana that you would be worried about. They haven't had the smoothest sailing, but they are 3-0 in Southland play so far. This isn't a team that really has like one superstar, but over the course of the season, they've been a dominant rebounding team. Their defensive numbers are also very good. They can score the ball. I mean, only 74.6 points per game, so nothing insane, but this is a very, very solid group. So looking at the numbers for this game, Lamar being a 3.5-point favorite, not a huge surprise here playing at home. We've got a low total of only 136.5. Incarnate Word, 7-3 against the spread, 5-4-1 to the over. Lamar, guys, they are 5-6 against the spread and 6-5 to the under. I think this is a spot where Incarnate Word kind of gets in a little bit of trouble. I'm going to be taking Lamar here, -3.5. I think they find a way in this game. I think they are the deeper, more talented team. I have liked what I've seen from Incarnate Word, but a lot of the numbers that they've amassed this season have come against very, very bad teams. And going on the road, not easy. I think Lamar gets the winning cover here as they stay undefeated out there in Southland play. Next up in one of the 2 biggest games of the night, guys, we're looking at the TCU Horned Frogs going on the road to take on the Houston Cougars. TCU 8-5 on the season, not really having the season they had dreamed of, though. They're fresh off a 1-point win there over Kansas State. Not the toughest opponent there in Kansas State, and they barely were able to eke out the win, but they'll definitely take it. Wins for this squad, especially against good opponents, have been kind of few and far between. They do have that win over Xavier earlier in the season, but after that, guys, not a ton of positives for the TCU squad. I mean, they've done some good things, but not a ton of good things, and not usually against the best teams. I mean, a 9-point loss there at Arizona, I guess it's not the end of the world, but you would have thought they could do a little bit better against Kansas State, especially playing at home. In that game, I mean, TCU obviously coming out on top, but man, it was close. They shot 40% from 3 in that game, but only on 15 attempts. They ended up getting kind of crushed on the boards. They're overall, they had 3 starters scoring double figures. That's cool, but the bench looked terrible and just not a ton of offense getting put up in that game. So I do have reason to be concerned here about TCU. Their season-long numbers not looking amazing either. A very weak offensive team that struggles on the board. So they're going up against kind of the opposite of that, guys. Houston has been dominant this season. Obviously, losses against Auburn and San Diego State aren't what they were hoping for, but other than that, they've just been killing out there. A 31-point win over BYU their last time out, a comfortable win over Oklahoma State the time before that. They blew out Butler earlier this season. They got a nice win over Notre Dame. They did lose by 5 points against Alabama, but man, Alabama looking pretty tough. So we'll see what we get from the Cougars in this one. They're a dominant rebounding and defensive team, guys, allowing only 54.6 points per game. Pretty crazy work there. Guys, a total here, they're putting up good numbers offensively. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Houston, 18.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 127.5, so a very low total. Both teams still, though, showing trends towards the under. TCU only 4-9 against the spread this season. Houston, 7-6 against the spread this year. Guys, 18.5 is a lot of points. I think TCU is playing okay. I don't think they're going to be competitive in this game, but I think they can keep it within 20 here, and 18.5 is a ton of points. Give me TCU on the road. Obviously not going to be the easiest environment for them to play in. We do see, a little bit maybe of a look-ahead spot here for Houston. Maybe that's wishful thinking because they're going to be, playing West Virginia soon. TCU, on the other hand, after this, they play BYU. So I guess the look-ahead spot kind of evens out, but give me TCU. I just think this is a few too many points. If this was like 12, sure, go ahead and give me Houston, but give me TCU in this one getting all those points. Next up, we've got the Grambling Tigers going on the road to take on the Texas Southern Tigers. So 2 Tiger squads battling it out. Grambling comes into this one not having a good time at all this year. They're 3-11 on the season. They're fresh off a 73-55 loss there against Prairie View. They have played quite a few step-up games this year, but none of them have went particularly well. Their only wins this season have come against non-Division I opponents. So not loving what we're seeing from Grambling this year. They're a team without a superstar. They're very bad offensively, not good on the boards. Their defense defense is pretty weak as well, so they're going to really have to step things up if they want to find any success out there in the SWAC. They're going up against a Texas Southern team that has had a similarly bad season, guys. They're 3-11 on the year. Their last game was a 67-58 loss there against Southern, so just a lot of ineptitude going on in this game, guys. Not a lot of positives, no superstar players, no great numbers to report. Texas Southern comes into this game as 3.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 136.5. Grambling 5-6 against the spread. They are 6-5 to the under. Texas Southern only 2-10 against the spread and 6-6 to the over/under. Guys, I'm going to be siding here just slightly towards the the Texas Southern team playing at home. Their season long against the spread numbers are terrible. They are 3.5-point favorites here, so that seems a little bit sketch. But they're at home. That's my main lean in this one, is to go ahead and take Texas Southern to find a way to win this game by 4 points against a Grambling team that just does not seem like they will travel very well. Last but not least here, guys, we've got the Ohio State Buckeyes going on the road to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Ohio State comes in this game 9-5 on the season, but fresh off a tough 69-62 loss there against number 13 Michigan State. Ohio State has done some good things this year, don't get me wrong, but in that game against Michigan State, it just wasn't quite enough. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. They kept things even on the board, so that's nice, but really, guys, we didn't see what we were hoping for from a lot of these starters. Only 2 starters scoring in double figures, only 2 players on the whole team scoring in double figures, and Ohio State does have a monster out there in Bruce Thornton. They need to find a way to help him, help this team get wins. They are a very good offensive team, 61st in the nation in points per game. So we've seen a lot of positives out of Ohio State this season. Is it going to be enough to carry them where they want to go? Well, we'll have to see, guys. They need to do well in this matchup against Minnesota, who's only 8-6 on the season. They're 0-3 so far in play out there in the Big Ten. Things have not looked great. They're coming off a 20-point loss against Purdue, so that's not ideal. They got to play Ohio State, then they got to play Wisconsin. Like, the things, the matchups aren't going to get any easier out there in the very tough Big Ten. We don't see anybody really that impressive outside of Dawson Garcia there for the Golden Gophers. He's putting up nearly 20 points per game, so I mean, he's a monster, but other than that, where is really his help in this one? I mean, not seeing a lot of positives from anyone else in that loss against Purdue. Minnesota shot only 23% from 3, only 31 boards in that game, getting out rebounded handily. So not a lot of positives right now for Minnesota. And looking at the numbers right now, guys, the Golden Gophers are getting 5.5 points at home. We've got a total of 137.5. Ohio State 9-5 against the spread, 8-6 to the under. Minnesota 1-11-2 against the spread, and 8-6 to the under themselves. Guys, I think this is a great spot to take Ohio State in a big bounce back here after their loss against Michigan State. I think they find the way to get the job done here. I am a little bit worried about their look ahead against Oregon, but Ohio State will at least be at home for this one, so they're not going to have to travel to Oregon. So maybe that takes a little bit of the panic out of this game. So give me the Ohio State Buckeyes to find a way to bounce back and win this game by at least 6 against a Minnesota team that does not seem to have the same home court advantage they had a year ago. That's all we've got for this one, guys. Head over to the main channel to see all of my NBA leans for this one. There will be a link down in the description to the main channel, or you can probably just search NBA picks today in YouTube, and I should be one of the top results. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets. Subscribe to this channel if you're new, and get over there to the main channel and subscribe also. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Also, guys, you want to be heading over to Stump the Spread to get on that free email list, and also to check out all of our premium and free content that you can see over there. We will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.